to Bad Movie Beatdown. Now, long-time fans of my work, all three of them, might remember the comedy budget principle that I explained in my first episode, using this week's movie.
A film's comedic value is inversely proportional to the film's budget. This is why films like The 40-Year-Old Virgin is much funnier than films like Evan Almighty, which is Scheiße!
Humble beginnings. Yep, this week's episode is Evan Almighty, which at the time of this video is the most expensive comedy ever made, and also a very large flop. The film was originally conceived as a direct sequel to Bruce Almighty, entitled Bruce, The Second Coming, since the earlier 2003 movie was one of the biggest hits of the year for Universal. However, Carey's reluctance to do sequels, which has proved itself well in the past, meant that he turned down the movie, meaning that the sequel managed to lose both Carey and co-star Jennifer Aniston. Luckily for the producers, there was someone else they could turn to. A scene-stealing bit part by one Steve Carrell, who played Bruce's rival Evan Baxter, was one of the best things in the first movie. Between the first movie and the second, Carrell had become an A-lister himself, thanks to the 40-Year-Old Virgin. Plus, whilst Carey and Aniston weren't back, they did still have Morgan Freeman. Yes, Morgan Freeman, who will do anything if the pay is right. Okay, bad example. They do still have the original director Tom Shadyac. Unfortunately, whilst his track record of movies with Jim Carrey is solid, movies without Jim Carrey are a different matter. Is that a rain cloud I see before me? So the film immediately severs one of its few remaining ties to the first by establishing that newscaster Evan has become a congressman representing Buffalo. Without this scene, the movies have so little linking them together you might as well just call it a spin-off. So Evan leads his family to their new home in Washington DC's Prestige Crest. Did you know that Evan had a wife and 3 kids? I didn't! They also stopped by to check out Long Dam. Why? Because it's a plot point. They also arrive at their enormous new house. Ah, Molly Shannon! Shoo! Shoo! Get away!
Could you give us some direction on these kitchen cabinets?
Sure.
Okay, it's between your maple and your old-growth Brazilian cherry.
Ooh, that is nice. Which is best?
Well, if you're not sensitive to that save the rainforest stuff, you can't beat the Brazilian cherry. It's 300 years old.
300 years.
300.
And now you are going to hold my dishes.
I wonder if this movie has an environmental bent. We're not even out of the opening credits before a dog goes for Evan's balls and takes a shit on the lawn. Setting the bar high then. Oh, and Evan has this stupid little dance that he likes to do. I hope you find this funny, otherwise you're in deep shit.
And then Ryan did the cutest thing. He asked if we could all pray together.
You want to know what I prayed for? I prayed we would become closer as a family.
Honey, you don't need to pray for that to happen. I will make that happen.
What would you pray for?
Me? I don't know. Praying just...
He doesn't pray! May he see the error of his ways! Because in order to fix our political problems, we should rely on a big man in the sky. Incidentally, it is nice to see the negligent father trope being played out for the billionth time. Evan takes his wife's advice and decides to pray.
Please help me change the world.
I'd love it if God took advantage and made him change the world in a bad way, because he wasn't very specific about it. For example, a nuclear holocaust may not be a good thing, but it definitely changes the world. The following morning, something weird happens.
What? I set the alarm for 7.
What could it possibly mean? Do you remember the part in Bruce Almighty where Evan showed he was OCD about cleanliness? In fact, I don't remember anything much about the character besides he was a bit of a douche, which we've obviously retconned by giving him a loving family. In fact, speaking of which...
All right, back to Brood. I will see you later on this afternoon for the big hike, huh?
Chances of missing the hike are 2 to 1. Place your bets now! On his exit, Evan bumps into a box from Alpha and Omega Hardware that contains a load of tools. Gee, I wonder... So it's Evan's first day in Congress, where we meet aides Wanda, Sykes' Rita, and Marty.
I think I have to do the dance.
Do the dance.
Wow, that's as unfunny as it was the first 2 times. We also meet creepy new kid Eugene, played by an oddly out-of-place Jonah Hill.
I love you.
It also appears that Congressman Long, who that dam was named after, is trying to win Evan's favour to get him to sign a bill.
All right, Eugene, Congressman Long's bill, what is it?
H.R. 7124, better known as Sin Plan. The bill would open up fringe areas of the national parks for development.
That sounds decidedly unenvironmental. He must be the bad guy.
Oh, and another thing. He wants you to read it today.
Well, I can't do it today. I promised my kids.
Eugene.
Well, sir, there's a time clock on the bill. If Congressman Long wants to pass it this quarter, he's going to have to introduce it to the committee immediately.
If you bet that Evan would miss the hike, you are a winner! Step up and collect your prize of nothing! The following morning, not only does his alarm waking up at 6:14 again, but a truck dumps a load of wood outside his house. However, he only puts the two together when he sees Genesis 6:14 on a TV and looks up a Bible.
Go for wood. Get it?
Apparently, God is a fan of cringeworthy puns. So Evan gets visited by God, telling him to build an ark. Naturally, Evan doesn't believe him, so he proceeds to freak him out. It's not just funny, it's symbolism! I always like to put my in-jokes front and centre.
Oh, and they finally fixed the phones. My new extension is 614.
And Alex at the Buffalo office had her baby. Weighed in at
6 pounds, 14 ounces.
How'd you know that?
Lucky guess.
Quick! Steve Carell's going to do another Jim Carrey sequel! The number 614! Oh my god. 4 6s minus 1 6. It's 666! Sign the devil! Incidentally, none of the aides thought it was weird that 614 just happened to keep popping up. In fact, God bullies him so much that he makes him faint. Not once, but twice. Our Lord is ever compassionate. The following morning, Evan gets followed by 2 of every animal. Cue the bird shit!
Oh, hey, thanks for sharing.
Birds even start filling Evan's office as he is about to meet Congressman Long, played by John Goodman. Ooh, I sense wacky hijinks!
You want to explain to yourself, Congressman, what is going on?
They are trained aviaries.
Do you have a point, Congressman?
Point is, man needs to dominate creatures. Man must dictate what happens in this country.
I couldn't agree more. We lost a huge project last year because of the red-headed woodpecker. Those environmentalists got so up in arms over the potential disappearance of one stupid bird, we lost over $25 million in business.
Damn those pesky environmental laws! And 2 more jokes about shit, bringing the total up to 5. The number of shit jokes, on the other hand. Anyway, God is on hand to explain that the valley Evan lives in looked a lot more beautiful when it didn't have man trample on it.
Why an ark? I mean, that's like flood territory. You wouldn't do that again.
Let's just say that whatever I do because I love you.
Which is why God is allowing war to happen, letting hundreds of people die. Incidentally, I don't recall God loving people so much the first time he did a global flood to wipe out almost the entire human race. That's kind of more wrath than love, don't you think?
You want to know how to change the world, son? One act of random kindness at a time.
Do you get it? Don't worry if you don't, then make sure you will later. The next day, Evan finds that his facial hair has not only grown out somewhat, but refuses to shave. That's right, folks, we're stealing jokes from the Santa Claus. This is how low we've sunk. Bird poop and jokes stolen from Tim Allen. Not only that, but God has used Evan's account to buy 8 lots surrounding his house, without telling him. God is a dick.
Gentlemen, I'm sure you're all wondering why I have assembled you here today.
An Argentine lake duck has a penis as long as its body.
A random dick joke for no reason. Yay! So Evan sets about to building the ark with his kids. This is, of course, an excuse for a montage of Carrell hurting himself, including falling over twice and bashing his thumb with a hammer 3 times. You know, the same repetitive jokes repeated over and 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 over.
You know anything about animals, son?
The Argentine lake duck has a penis as long as its body.
Really? Are we going to do the same jokes over and over again, even when they weren't funny in the first place?
Gotta do the dance. Come on, let's do the dance. Yeah, we're doing the dance.
Glad to see that money was spent on the script. So as Evan's hair grows, the ark continues to be built. And of course, we get more lame slapstick. God then gives Evan some robes to continue his transformation into Noah. I'm not sure what practical purpose God has for transforming Evan besides being incredibly mean-spirited.
Dry, hot weather will continue.
Until September 22nd, midday. And if the ark isn't finished by then, you will be.
Is that when it's going to happen? September 22nd, midday?
High temperatures tomorrow back into the 90s everywhere.
Is God getting off on this? Making it look like a man is having a psychological breakdown? Not only that, but he actually refuses to let Evan go outside without wearing the robe. Screw it, you know what, I'm just going to say it. God as a character in this movie, not the almighty one, is a prick. Not you, the character in this movie. I mean, you have to admit, this isn't exactly a very fair portrayal of you, is it? As the pièce de resistance, God publicly outs Evan as Noah on live television in front of everyone. Apparently, no one is amazed that he managed to change clothes miraculously in the space of a second. Naturally, King Ralph is upset at this and takes his name off the bill. Cue the bird shit. Again. And as you might have guessed, Evan's family leaves him because they think he's gone insane. You know, because that's hysterically funny.
Excuse me, are you alright?
My husband, have you heard of New York's Noah?
Noah in the Ark? You know, a lot of people miss the point of that story. They think it's about God's wrath and anger.
What is the story about then, the Ark?
I think it's a love story about believing in each other. You know, the animals showed up in pairs. You know, they stood by each other, just like Noah and his family. Everybody entered the Ark side by side.
And the people were all together when they drowned. Oh, wait.
He's filling the boat with 2 of every kind of animal. Still to be collected, 2 giraffes, 2 elephants, and 1 more jackass.
Jon Stewart there, star of The Faculty and Death to Smoochie. Seriously, dude, that was incredibly half-hearted. So his family come back to find he's gone prematurely grey. It must be the stress of working on this movie.
How are we gonna do this? There's no way the 5 of us can finish on time. We don't have money to hire anybody else. Is that a llama with a hammer?
Let's finish this sucker.
Sounds like the cue for a montage. Seriously, this movie is 40% montage. So now we have more of the Ark being built with the aid of the animals and Evan's family. You see? They're coming together as a family. I hate this movie.
Listen to this. No, please, no.
And you can stop that f***ing dance too whilst you're at it.
With all these species, what's being done about the feces?
You know, for a family movie, there are lots of jokes about feces, aren't there?
Evan Baxter, you have gone from newsman to congressman to caveman. What makes you so sure God chose you?
He chose all of us.
Evan's aides come along to tell him that actually Long is pretty evil.
Prestige Crest used to be federal lands, but what's interesting is how it got into private hands. Congressman Long got the approval to build a dam and then passed out the surrounding lands to a group of private investors.
Now, the locals fought this thing for years. They said Long and his developer buddies were cutting corners, like skipping important building code checkpoints.
Plot point. So the Ark is finished and all the animals come on board 2 by 2. Long comes to the Ark with the intention of tearing it down.
You know, voters don't respond to the gloom and doom stuff. They like a more positive message.
Like the one you're sending with your bill? How much did you make off of all this land?
How much money is enough?
I'm gonna give you one last chance. Take down this boat.
I'm giving you one last chance. Repent.
You know, one of the reasons that Bruce Almighty was better than this is that it wasn't so ham-fistedly Christian, it was more spiritual and ambivalent. Here it's like being whacked in the head with a Bible. But just as they are about to tear down the Ark, it suddenly starts raining. And then stops. Well, that just added 5 minutes to our running time for no reason. Evan realises that it is not the rain that will be causing the flood.
Marty said that Long cut corners, violated building codes. The lake. Long Lake. It's named after him. It's the lake!
Oh, I totally forgot about that dam that was named after the bad guy. Whoever would have guessed? Sure enough, the dam burst, forcing the previously mocking crowd onto the Ark for safety.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
The flood tears through Prestige Crest, providing us with a spectacular special effects sequence that is quite clearly where a very large amount of the budget went. Unfortunately, there is one big problem. It's not funny. They've spent a huge amount of money on this sequence, yet crucially, there's barely a joke or a wisecrack. All the characters, even the comedy relief, just stare in awe. Not helping matters is the problems with the very concept itself. Floods aren't, you know, very funny. People tend to lose their possessions and they lose their lives. It's generally not very funny at all. In the film, the Baxters themselves lose their home with all their possessions and their car, not to mention several houses are seen being destroyed by the huge flood. I guess if people were in those houses, God killed them because he loved them. So eventually the Ark comes to a stop at Capitol Hill, putting an end to Long's bill and his career. I'm just wondering, why did God round up 2 of every animal for this Ark anyway? As far as I know, giraffes are not indigenous to the Washington DC area, or elephants, or polar bears, or cats. This makes it clear that the whole world was flooded in the original versions of the script, but obviously that was nixed because it might be just a little bit depressing with the huge loss of life. Proof that this was a stupid concept in the first place. And look! look, they're going on that hike together. I'm so glad they're coming together as a family. It makes me totally forget how they're now homeless. God comes to visit Evan for one last time.
So, how do we change the world?
One act of random kindness at a time.
One act of random kindness.
Wow.
It's time. Do the dance.
Care to join me?
Laugh at the dance! Laugh at it! Why aren't you laughing, you bastards? Darwinism with added olive branch! Seriously, I know it ties back to Noah's story, but at least that's the end of the movie.
I now issue a new commandment.
Wait, what the?
Thou shalt do the dance.
Oh God, no! That's right, the Self-Congratulatory End Credit show the entire cast and crew dancing to CNC Music Factory's Everybody Dance Now. Why is it always empty? I think Molly Shannon gets more screen time in this dance montage than anything she does in the actual movie. I'm sorry, but when did dance itself become funny? Maybe if I can understand when it did, I can understand what goes on in Seltzerberg's head. Despite a marketing scheme that aimed at Christian audiences, the film became one of the biggest flops of all time, falling short of its $200 million budget, including marketing, and deservedly so, because for all the money and all the trained animals and all the special effects, there's almost no laughs whatsoever. The closest anyone gets to funny is Wanda Sykes, who happens to find the odd chuckle.
Evan, what are you doing? You have a ponytail on your face. What you gonna do next? Cornrow your eyebrows?
Between several not funny quips.
Did you just do a wardrobe change? What do you think this is, the Oscars? You are not Whoopi.
And whilst I love Morgan Freeman, God in this movie is a douchebag. I'm just hoping the real one, if he exists, doesn't take that too personally. I'm Matthew Buck, beating down bad movies everywhere. Is it me or is it a bit cold in here?